Hey everybody, welcome back to MTG Spec. My name's Tom, and I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about what Wizards of the Coast. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about what Wizards of the Coast has decided to do with the reserve list. And it's not abolish it. They want to weaponize it. It's a hot take, isn't it? But let's turn our eyes back in time a little bit to, did you ever see a movie called Collapse with Michael Rupert? He was an LAPD detective who got recruited by the CIA to push cocaine in the inner city and decided not to do that, and started to chronicle all the people getting wiped out and suicided, like on military bases, and just anyone touching CIA's cocaine. And anyway, they did a little documentary about him. And in his investigative reporting time, he eventually figured out that one of the major things that was pushing all geopolitical events was peak oil, and that Dick Cheney had discovered, or he'd started a committee to discover like where all the oil was left in the world, and very shortly after 9/11, they went to Iraq, which had nothing to do with 9/11, and anyway. It's all good fun stuff, but the point is he had a premise. He had a central thesis, which is that all global events were affected by peak oil. What does this have to do with Wizards of the Coast? Well, you have to wonder, what is the single driving force right now with Wizards of the Coast? Like, why are they wanting to take a chainsaw to the player base, to the reserve list, to paper magic in general? And I think that is the real enemy of Wizards of the Coast, because every time they have gone back to look at their old paper days, they see things they can't control, and they want to control them. So when they announced the 30th anniversary kit, which is staggering in its stupidity, to us, but we don't have the same agenda Wizards of the Coast has. Our agenda is to enjoy Magic the Gathering as a game. Their agenda is to make sure that they can control Magic and Magic players going into the future, and to funnel all the money and herd us as player base exactly where they want us to go, which is digital Magic. They don't give a fuck about stores. They've proven that by undercutting stores with Amazon. They don't care about the players. They don't care about their own history, or they don't care about paper Magic as a legacy item, as the artifacts of the past that it is, because the past embarrasses them, and they can't control the past. They want to be able to control everything. It's about control. Because that's how these hippie leftists think. They have absolutely created a path forward that omits the past. And what is the evidence of that? Why am I saying that? Well, let's look at what they did with Dominaria United, the collector boosters. They completely ripped out all the Harold McNeil cards, even the ones that weren't, featuring blue-colored clansmen with the 4 blue mana of Invoke Prejudice, which, by the way, still contextually is not an evil card. It's a card about evil. There's a big difference, but context doesn't matter to these fruitcakes. So they ripped out all the Harold McNeil cards, even like Flash Counter, all that stuff, and destroyed them all. And prove me wrong. I say they destroyed them all. If you have evidence to the contrary, please let me know. So they destroyed all these beautiful cards. Gwendolyn DeCourcy, a very sexy reserve list character who appeals to straight white men, had to go. Likewise, they roll out the 30th anniversary Wizards celebration. What do they get rid of? Earthbind. Incredible art by Quentin Hoover, but it's a bondage based S&M type art, which, if you're a Wonder Woman fan, you know that like her World War II covers were all bondage, and like there's a lot of collectors who enjoy that stuff, whatever. But it appealed to the baser instincts of straight white men, so it had to go. They also banned Weakness, and Earthbind has never had another printing outside of ABU and revised. But Weakness, I think, has. But Weakness, I couldn't figure out why. Like me and my friend at work were like trying to puzzle out why did they ban Weakness. And it may have been as simple as the character had kind of wrinkly fingers, which, you know, I dated a girl named Christy who had very bad rheumatoid arthritis, and her fingers were constantly crinkled up like that. It was just how they were. She carried grocery bags. They never changed. That was just how they were. And this thing evoked that a little bit. Also, it was a weak character who had like a wizard staff, but maybe it looked a little bit too much like a walking cane, and so it's ableist. I don't know. They're fucking retarded. But anyway, so they don't like paper magic because it has with it its own history that is beyond their control. So they create this product that's $999. You get 4 booster packs that are randomized. And so maybe one in, I don't know, 150. Somebody broke down the math on Reddit. God bless Reddit. One in 150 packs may have a Black Lotus. And by the way, of these packs, most of them are modern borders. So if you want the vintage old border Black Lotus, which by the way, they all look like trash. Especially the dual lands, because they don't have that iconic concentric square thing that's going on in the text box. It looks super cool. It just says tap in parentheses, reminder text, like Volcanic Island, tap blue or red. It's so stupid. So the cards look stupid anyway, in my opinion. But even more stupid is the fact that for that price point, you could just buy one of the actual cards. You don't need their permission to get these cards. And the set is completely a proxy set for kitchen table Magic, but it's priced for collectors. So it's a proxy set because they cropped Sol Ring horribly and put it at the common slot, presumably to get rid of Earthbind. Do I have my Earthbind? Let's see. I actually, it's funny that they were picking on Earth. Oh yeah, this card. Yeah, I'm not a fan at all. This card. That's the card that is verboten now. So that'll be going on a revised edition of the Hidden Reserve List. That's one of my series I need to revisit, the Invisible Reserve List. But they created these proxies. Sol Ring is at common. The dual lands you get twice as often as regular rares. They still include trash like Mahamudi Djinn and Death Lace, Chaos Lace, Pure Lace, whatever. So anyone hoping to open these packs to enjoy an experience of Alpha, well, guess what? It's going to be a fairly accurate experience because you're probably not going to get anything. Nothing both breaks my heart and summons a warm sense of Schadenfreude like watching these $1,000 alpha beta pack openings, deck box openings, where they get, Web and Pure Lace as like their 2 rares. It's like, oh, why would you do that to yourself? Keep it a sealed product, for the love of God. But you know what else is a proxy? I was thinking about this because I'm again, what is the peak oil thing about Magic right now? What is the one thing that is driving all of Wizards' actions and thinking going forward? Because they're smarter than us. Don't forget, they're the corporate geniuses. They're the Wizards of the Ivory Tower. They're smarter than us. So they must have a reason for wanting to torpedo their own game. But they're not torpedoing the game. They're torpedoing the paper version of the game. They make a product that pisses everybody off, that gets everybody's tongues wagging, that gets people thinking more favorably about what other types of proxies they can get for the cost. And what is a proxy? It's a replacement for a game piece. And what is digital Magic but an entire electronic landscape full of proxies? And the Black Lotus that you can get in digital Magic probably has a Magic card back or whatever sleeve you choose for your digital thing. But it makes those look better, doesn't it? And now they're also introducing at the same time in Brothers War the serialized numbered cards. What can you do with paper serialized cards that you can't do with digital serialized cards? Like if the number on a card is what excites you, then they're conditioning you to think, oh, well, just wait till we roll out, serialized cards in digital because we can have even more because it's even easier to print those numbers. So I don't think they are attacking the reserve list or about to abolish the reserve list, even though they did lie. Mark Rosewater lied because he said that not only were they not going to reprint the reserve list, but they weren't going to do anything other than like oversized cards. Well, these are regular sized cards, so that was a lie. And I hope that the sales for this are through the roof and they fund Mark Rosewater's fucking golden parachute because he deserves to get fired from this for this shit. But that being said, what is it that they want? They want to herd us towards digital. And how do you do that? You do it by destroying the past of paper. You do it by negating the collectability of the paper by just introducing the concept of serialized numbers, which you can just as easily do. They do it by amping up the importance of proxies, which is all digital is. I think they really are just trying to trash their own game. Oh, and by the way, they also are releasing Unfinity, which is legacy legal. But now you have legacy games where people are like putting the fucking stickers all over everything. Nobody wants to play with stickers. A child doesn't even want to play with stickers. It doesn't make sense. A child wants to put stickers on their little notebooks and do stuff. You don't want to put... No one ever demanded Wizards, hey, do you have like little sticky adhesive things that we can put on our valuable cards and or make our sleeves sticky so they don't shuffle right? Is there anything you can do with that? They're mocking you. They're mocking the game that they created. And the end game is no more paper magic because then they don't have to deal with the bullshit from the stores. They don't have to deal with the past history coming back to embarrass them because they know some of the stuff they're doing today could embarrass them down the road. And they don't want to deal with that either. They're also completely destroying, and another example of this is the Transformers coming out in Brothers War. They're destroying the identity of magic. Because if magic can have 1,000 genders, then you can just scooch it all to the interwebs. You know, you don't need any version of paper magic because it all just looks like every other game now. It's just a blurred mess. And by the way, I predicted that the serialized cards would be in Infinity. I was off by one set. But I also think that the Transformers were originally supposed to be in Infinity because it's space-based and they introduced the character type robot. So they probably just scooched the two, did a little switcheroo. I don't know. Who knows? And even if they said the truth, who could believe them? Because they're all liars. Okay, bye.